Well, hi. It's a pretty warm day, certainly here in the awning, and I'm just out in the caravan having a bit of a breakaway, and it's now the beginning of October, and so I thought what I would do is just show you around and let you see the setup that I've got in this caravan and how I'm sort of making it work for me. So it is, let's have a little look, we'll get the screen right. Yeah, so this is the awning bit, which I always find awnings a little bit hard to keep tidy, aren't they? Particularly if you've got a dog. But I've got a couple of rugs down here. I got these actually, they're just £4 each at B&Q in a sale. They originally were like £16, and then there's like little tiny spiders everywhere dangling down. And then they were on sale at £4, and they're really good quality. I bought the Isabella carpet stuff here, which is I think you call it Bolon, I think, that product, which looks similar to this but not quite the same. So that's down first, and then I've got these just sort of in the main walking areas. Table, couple of chairs, couple of little USB lamps that I got that work. Ended up buying one of these little dustpan and brush things just to keep this area tidy. And on this campsite it's not too bad, but some campsites you get lots and lots of kind of leaves and things, and particularly dried cut grass when they cut it and don't rake it up. Walked in, I got that at the Great Yarmouth Caravan Club racecourse site, and then just outside campsite here at the minute is pretty empty because this is the Hemsby tent and touring site, and there are a lot of sort of seasonal vans here, I think, and then there's maybe only another 2 or 3 vans here with people in them at the minute. But we have just had 5 days of really bad, rainy, windy weather. And this is the Isabella Magnum 340 that I bought just before the previous holiday when I was down in Brighton. And the reason I got this was because wind can be such a factor with awnings. I learned that in Great Yarmouth at the Caravan Club site, when the gusts of wind some evenings were up to 52 miles per hour. Now, the previous little awning that I had was an air awning. I think it was a Swift Air Camp 320 or something, can't quite remember exactly what it was, but that stayed up until 50 miles an hour. Beyond 50, the sort of air beam began to blow down into whatever was in the awning. And as you can see, if I've got things like tables and chairs and stuff in there, then everything was kind of being blown over. So in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. I had to get up and take down the awning. There, I mean, I'm parked, as you can probably see, just the end of my car there. I'm parked behind the caravan, and then down this side I've got shade, really a shady area, but there's a reasonable amount of space here that there is to sort of use as a bit of a, doing your water stuff and your bits and pieces, or depending on how long you're staying here, you could maybe, as some people have, you can put like a little shed in these spaces. It seems that that's what some people do. I'm assuming that's when they have like a seasonal pitch. But this is the Coachman Laser Xcel that I got. I've had it now about, I think, 2 months from brand new. It cost a fortune, of course, but I just wanted something that would give me a little bit more room inside, and in particular for next year. And it's got the auto leveling stuff, it's got twin axle, twin motor movers, outside shower, battery compartment, little service light on that side, obviously TV aerial. Now, so far I've only been to 2 sites with it, but I haven't had to actually twist the aerial or lift it at all, and it works fully. It's got 2 front lockers. I have to admit, I do miss having the full side-to-side locker. It's an 8-foot Caravan. Now when I first got this, I was concerned about towing it being 8 foot wide and 8 meters long. It's just under 8 meters long. But so far, actually, it hasn't. Maybe after the first couple of times I towed it, I just allow a bit more space where I need to. And particularly if you're going down a tight road and you have like a hedge which overhangs the road, then you just need to be a little bit more careful with that so that you don't scrape down this side of the Caravan. I think it's this side you've got to look out for. No, sorry, it's this side, isn't it? This side of the Caravan. Because obviously I've seen some Caravans second-hand 8 foots where you get like long scratches down the side. And for the dealers, that's probably a huge thing to try and sort that out. So that's that. That's the little Isabella Awning, which has stood up to 48 mile an hour winds. I think 49 was the highest gust of wind we got here. And I'm towing it with the Land Rover Defender 130, which for this it's no problem at all towing it. And you know, with the sort of capabilities of the car, most of the roads around here have been really quite wet in the last few days, but it hasn't bothered that at all. You've got like a little compartment there, which is kind of what goes under the bed. It's sort of useful. The weird thing about awnings is, like this awning here, just got to get the position of that just right, because otherwise, you know, you have to kind of tuck that to one side when you're opening that. Anything else worth mentioning that might be of interest? I mean, there's lots of videos online with these awnings, and there's a couple of videos online that do a good job of taking you around the Caravan itself, so you can go and watch those in more detail than I'm giving you. Got a little supply there of lager and cider, which I haven't had much of really. As I say, because the weather's been so bad, I've spent a lot of time indoors just watching YouTube and a little bit of Netflix and stuff. Nothing special. Now you're probably wondering, why have I got a full-sized stainless steel simple human bin inside my awning? I'll tell you why. I used to have one of those kind of plastic tower, you know, you kind of they have like 3 poles, and you set them all up and they break down so you can put them in a bag and take them home, and that worked fine until I was at the Brighton Caravan and Motorhome Club campsite, and the foxes would come into the awning overnight and they would get into the bag that was just dangling in that bin, tear a hole in the bottom, drag everything out in the awning, drag everything back outside along the grass, making it a complete mess. And I sort of decided, well, what can I do? So at that site I got that stainless steel bin, and I was and it was positioned here in the middle, and I strapped it to that carbon pole there, and they didn't touch it. After that it was fine. And the worst thing about that wasn't even the fact that they'd torn through the bag and were ripping out all of the stuff from inside and spreading it everywhere, even though that was a mess. The other thing was, they'd spend time in here and they'd do their business on the floor, not on this carpet, because these are all brand new that I got just between Brighton and coming here. I haven't got the correct wheel arch length cover on there. That's just, for whatever reason, the kit came with a single wheel thing, so I put that on anyway, but really I suppose it needs the double wheel one, and I think there's like some sort of extender or whatever. I did see a kit for it in the Norwich camping and leisure place that I went to the other day, which is a huge place worth a visit if you're around this sort of area. And that's kind of it. I mean, inside it is all a bit of a mess at the minute, and the dog I've just left in there to do this video, so I won't show you in that bit, but I mean, it is It's reasonably spacious. I've got these seat covers on, which really for the dog, but it's got nice upholstery in here as and when those seat covers aren't on. Got room there to do things like you quite often do have with those little front pull-out tables. It's got a permanent table in, not a permanent, but a non-permanent, I suppose is one way of putting it, table in there. It's got a nice sized fridge and freezer in there, so you can, and it does work like a proper fridge and freezer. This one's the Thetford one. Bit of over top space there, which I just keep like bags, bin bags, dustpan and brush, that kind of thing in that. And then it's got cupboard space around, not masses of room I would say in this, and one of the reasons for that is partly because of the way they don't put any kind of secondary shelves in any of these cupboards. Well, I say any of these cupboards. Do they put one in that one? Yeah, there's just one shelf in that one, but in all of the rest of them, in the back there are shelves, but in here, like this one here, would be better with a kind of a divider there and a couple of shelves in the middle. But I could make them, I suppose, and I think you can buy them as an optional extra, which, you know, is like one of those things you see them making extra cash on. But it's got the surround stereo in it, and it does connect very well to Bluetooth, so I connect the laptop to that and listen sometimes, and that goes into the back rooms as well. As I say, the dog's in here at the minute and it's all a bit of an upside down mess, but yeah, you've got that in there. Nice size shower and a decent sized little washroom there as well. Shower's good, but it's unfortunately got the step in the back there, which of course always makes them slightly harder to use, but it does work. And the bedroom is again a decent size. It's got one of those pull in and out beds, which I find really easy to pull in and out, so I just do that first thing when I get up in the morning, slide it, pull that cushion up, slide it back in, and then you get all that walkaway around there to get dressed in. It's got lots of skylights. One thing to bear in mind with this Caravan is if you prefer a kind of a light wood look, it can look a little bit dark. This driftwood, and I'm assuming it's driftwood, it looks like driftwood style boarding they've used, can look a little bit dark. And some of the Caravans that have a more sort of brighter look inside, maybe for some others. I quite liked it. It sort of does, I suppose, feel a little bit officey. But I guess if you were to put in some, there's room up here to put in some small shelves. You could put like cream coloured glossy shelves there or something, and maybe the same just here. At the minute I've just put a little hook for the tea towel, but you could put a nice little shelf unit up there, away enough from the hob, but that would again brighten it up if it was like a light cream coloured, just give a bit of an extra or a different view. You've got one glossy surface there, and the rest is this kind of like, it almost looks like wood grain matte with a silver insert and this kind of coffee coloured or beige coloured edge. Big cupboard down here, which has kind of a couple of shelves in it and then like a bottom area, so you get plenty of stuff in there. But it is one of those cupboards where I tend to put stuff in and then forget that I've got it in there. And then your normal sort of drawers that have cutlery in and bits and pieces. A bit of a deeper one there at the bottom. A bit of space under there for your pans. And a nice oven with the 3 burners and the electric ring. And that is about it for this Coachman Laser Xcel 850, which I got, and next year I may go abroad in. Now I uprated it to the 12, what is it? No, uprated it to the what is it? The 2,000 kilograms. If you can see that, I'm trying to block the chassis number, although you may have seen it. just because it gives you that little bit of extra payload, because there's not masses of payload in this. I think it was 1760 to start with, and then you put like 2 motor movers on. That's probably like 1830, so you end up with about 170 kilos of payload. Now obviously you've not got any water in a caravan like you sometimes maybe have in a motorhome, so all those are emptied out before you're towing it. You do have a lot more space in these caravans than you do in motorhomes, so sometimes if you're thinking about what are the differences between caravans and motorhomes, motorhomes obviously give you the ability to just sort of turn up somewhere, a bit easier to set up when you get there. I mean, if you put an awning on and stuff, you've still got all that to do. With the self-leveling on this, it's pretty quick, so there's not a lot of time spent doing that. So the main disadvantage really is towing a caravan, because you've got to consider things like crosswinds and stuff like that. Again, if it gets really windy. When I first was planning to come down here, I delayed it a day because it was going to be 50-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. So you've got to think of that. But generally, with it being a twin axle, it is fairly stable. It's got the Alco ATC on it as well. The benefits then of a caravan over a motorhome is, once you get to where you're going and you've parked it up and you've set it up and you've got all of your pots and pans and your kettles and coffee makers and air fryers and, you know, just little things like washing up liquid and stuff all on the top. In a motorhome, if you do that and you want to set off somewhere, you have to put all that somewhere, because otherwise it'll fly off. And with a caravan you don't, you just leave it, and then you just jump in the car, and the car then becomes completely free to go where you want to go, and give you the freedom to set off on days out, trips out and stuff, without having to worry about, do I do the whole sort of breakdown and storage of everything, and then, you know, particularly with a motorhome, if you've had to come and level it by going up on like ramps and stuff with the wheels, and then you suddenly think, oh, I want to just go out for a couple of hours to get to the shops. Again, car gives you the freedom to do that. Caravan just becomes a base wherever you've left it, and you can go off and do whatever you want. So that is kind of my little kind of wander around this Coachman Laser 850 and this little Magnum Etna 340 awning from Isabella, on a nice sunny day here in Hemsby, just on the east coast of Norfolk. Thank you very much for watching. Do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.